Is there a representative from Forestry on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to call today's meeting for the State of Nevada Board of Examiners for April 14th, 2020 to order. Could I ask the clerk to take the roll, please?
Governor Sisolak.
Here.
Secretary of State Sagaski.
I'm here.
Attorney General Ford.
Here.
Let the record reflect we do have a quorum.
Thank you. This is the first time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board on any item on today's agenda, please step forward, identify yourself for the record, and comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anybody on the phone? Do we have any written public comment? We do not. Moving on, close item number. We have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing, seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 4, state vehicle purchases.
Good morning. There are 2 requests for 13 vehicles in this agenda item. The first request from the Colorado River Commission has been withdrawn. The second request is from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Forestry Division for 10 replacement crew carriers for $2,305,268. This also includes 2 replacement pickups for $97,733. The 2 pickups have been withdrawn. The crew carriers meet the age and mileage requirements in SAM. Are there questions on this item?
Oh yes, there's questions. Who is there on behalf of Forestry to answer the questions or to give me an explanation?
You've got Casey, State Forester, Fire Warden.
Okay. Is Brad there as well?
Good morning, Governor. I'm on the line as well.
Okay. I have been briefed on this numerous times, and you know my concern is that apparently this purchase was made prior to getting authorization. Is that correct?
Yes, Governor, that's correct.
Okay. Can you explain to me how that happened?
Yes, so again, for the record, Casey, it looked to be a series of issues on our side for which we are very sorry that this happened. We put this on the September Board of Examiners agenda. It was placed our fleet manager position and the position supervisor left, as did the GFO staff in there. So this just kind of fell through the cracks. We did not know that the purchase continued to go forward on the contract. I'm very sorry that this happened. We put this on the September Board of Examiners agenda. It was
okay.
position and the position supervisor.
Okay, can somebody help me out here? What's happening with the... What? If it holds 100, we don't have 100 on the line.
Casey, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now we can. We lost you about halfway through where you said it fell through the cracks. There were big wide cracks, these massive caverns that it fell through.
Yes, and this came to our attention. So did you hear the first part? We had submitted it for the September BOE. We had been asked for additional questions. Our position, as well as that position supervisor, became vacant, so it did fall through the cracks. We noticed it when it went on this board that the contract had continued to go forward.
Okay, why I am hesitant to approve this because procedure was not followed, and there is procedure for a reason, because it keeps it transparent and it's in, the public deserves to know what's going on, and this didn't happen in this case. And I don't want to think this is, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission, but I am very disturbed that the division did not follow any purchasing protocols as it came to this. I just don't understand how it could get through. You didn't fall through one crack, it was a whole 100 cracks this fell through, and I just don't get how that happened.
And I mean, I don't know what to say about it at this point. It is not, I assure you, something that we would try to do intentionally or to beg forgiveness for. I do not operate that way.
Okay. Because I understand the urgency of the situation and the severity of the situation, that we need these 10 vehicles with a wildfire season rapidly approaching us, I'm going to go ahead and approve this, but I can assure you, if it happens again, I am not going to approve it, and I'm going to require some changes to be made in the division. Does everybody understand that?
Yes, Governor.
Brad?
Yes, Governor, and we appreciate the sentiment, and we'll follow through accordingly. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone else has any questions relates to the purchase? Attorney General, do you have a question on this one?
For the state vehicle purchases, there's 10 of them, and with the condition and understanding that you stated so clearly, I move for approval.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor for approval. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 5, authorization to contract with a current and/or former employee.
Item number 5 includes one request to contract with one former employee. This request is from the Department of Administration Purchasing Division to contract with a former employee to provide fiscal management services. This individual will be employed by Manpower through MSA number 18404, and this is a critical need for this particular position, as this division that will be hiring this person does not currently have any fiscal people, and they are not in compliance with their federal grants, is my understanding.
I'm here.
Do we have a motion on item number 5?
I move approval.
We have a motion for approval. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 6, request for an extension on. Hello?
This DOE, when it's over, I'll be here all day.
Okay, if you've got people who are on the phone, could you please mute your phone until you're prepared to speak, because we're getting a lot of feedback. Item number 6. Susan?
Item number 6, pursuant to NRS 286-523, it is the policy of the state to ensure that the reemployment of retired public employees is limited to positions of extreme need. An employer who desires to employ a retired public employee to fill a position for which there is a critical labor shortage must make the determination of reemployment based upon the appropriate and necessary delivery of services to the public in an open meeting. The Board of Examiners has the authority to designate positions in state government for which there are critical labor shortages. In determining whether to designate a position as a critical labor shortage, the board is to consider and make findings on the efforts made to fill the positions through other means, the turnover rate for the position, the number of openings and number of qualified candidates, the length of time the positions have been vacant, any special circumstances, education or experience requirements for the positions, and the history and success of recruitment efforts. The Department of Public Safety requested and the board approved the designation of DPS Officer 1 and 2 classifications as critical labor shortage positions in January of 2016 and again in January 2018. In April 2019, the board approved an exception to continue this designation for Capitol Police officers through April of 2020. This item includes a request to continue 1 DPS Officer 2 and 3 shortage designation and a request to continue the designation of these 4 positions as critical labor and a public employees retirement system exception for
Watching
Capitol
the Board of
Police.
Examiners meeting and listening in on the phone.
Okay, could
We
someone...
have an item that's consumed IFC, so I'm listening. Here's the governor with his mask on. Yeah. And here's Susan Brown, the governor's budget director with a mask on. I'm glad to see somebody's wearing masks.
Will you please mute your phone?
The Secretary of State is calling in by phone, and the Attorney General is calling in by phone. So usually they would all be sitting here together.
While we conduct the meeting? Okay.
I'm going to figure it out after about 2 months.
Go ahead, Susan, please.
This will allow the department to continue to reemploy retired public employees who require little or no training to perform important peace officer duties. Should the board approve the designation, it can delegate to the clerk the notice of the designation to PERS, and I will work with Director Tagliati and his staff to ensure it is submitted timely. Representatives from the agency are available to answer any questions members may have.
Barbara?
None, Governor.
Okay, do I have a motion on item number 6?
Move approval.
We have a motion for approval on item number 6. Is there any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 7, request for recommendation of approval to the Interim Finance Committee for an allocation amount from the contingency account.
This item includes 4 requests for a positive recommendation to the Interim Finance Committee pursuant to NRS 353.268. The general fund contingency account has an approximate balance of $26.8 million to cover unanticipated costs for the remainder of the 1921 biennium. If these items are approved, the remaining balance in the account will be approximately $19.1 million. The first and second requests are from the Department of Corrections. The first request in the amount of $4,870,606 is to cover non-medical related costs. This includes increased food costs, utilities, and other projected shortfalls for the department through the end of the fiscal year. The second request is for $2,149,866, and this covers medical related shortfalls for the department. The total request from the Department of Corrections is $7,020,472. Are there any questions on these 2 items?
I have some comments on one of these, on item number 2. For quite some time now, the Department of Corrections has been studying its policies regarding the hepatitis C to ensure that risk to inmates was as low as possible and to reduce the spread of this infectious disease among the prison population. NDOC took a physician-focused approach that allowed doctors to exercise their own independent medical judgment as to what treatment was the most appropriate and when the treatment should be provided. In November 2019, the department adopted revised versions of Medical Directive MD-216 and MD-219. MD-216 ensures that all inmates are tested for Hep C has been tested. The testing has identified approximately 1,200 Hep C positive patients requiring treatment. MD-219 provides as a general policy that all positive inmates will undergo a set of treatment protocol. This protocol costs over $15,000 per inmate. Treating these inmates in prison is critical for 2 reasons. First, if left untreated, this disease can spread widely through the prisons. Second, if not treated in prison, treatment will most likely occur after the inmate has been released. Large percentage of inmates are on Medicaid, and treatment later in the disease life cycle is more costly than treatment in the early stages. As a result, treatment in prison is less. While MD-216 and MD-219 both address both of these issues, both directives are routinely based on the medical director's recommendation. The recommendation to amend these directives is based on sound medical judgment of the medical director and not on any. Do we have any other questions on number 7? Comments?
I have none.
Secretary Sagaski,
No, Governor, I have nothing. Thank you.
do you want us to take these separately, Susan? Okay. Do I have a motion on 7A?
Move to approve.
We have a motion for approval on item number 7A. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 7B, Department of Indigent Defense Services.
This request is from the Department of Indigent Defense Services for $525,036 to fund items through a mutually agreed upon resolution in a lawsuit with the American Civil Liberties Union.
Okay, I've got comments on this one too. The department is requesting the board's recommendation to IFC for $525,036 from the contingency account for use over the biennium in a session. Section 14 of AB 81 authorizes the department to request funds from the contingency account if money is needed in the interim. AB 81 was a recommendation of Nevada Rights to Counsel Commission, a group of stakeholders who met 10 times between the 79th and 80th legislative session to study issues related to the provisions of indigent defense in Nevada. These costs are necessary to stand up the department, have been expected, and will help DIDS comply with its duties under the law. In addition, this item will also help eliminate the risk of very significant costs due to ongoing litigation. Do we have any comments or questions on 7B?
I move approval.
We have a motion for approval. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing, seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 7C, Judicial Discipline Commission.
This final request is from the Judicial Discipline Commission for $49,593 to cover costs of judicial discipline investigations for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Do we have any questions on 7C? Do I have a motion?
None here.
Do I have a motion on 7C?
Move approval.
With a motion for approval, is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing, seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 8, request for authorization to amend a current contract for a price increase.
This item is a request from the Department of Motor Vehicles Administrative Services Division, which requests board approval to increase the pricing contained within the current contract with IDEMIA Identity and Security USA LLC. This request changes the per card amount from $2.16 to a range of $3.0704 to $3.01.039 to include additional security features and postage. It is required through the contract for any price increases to be approved by the board.
Do we have any discussion on item number 8? Do I have a motion on item number 8?
Move approval.
There's a motion for approval. Is there any discussion? Hearing, seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 9, approval of proposed state administrative manual changes.
So item 9 seeks approval to revise the State Administrative Manual, Chapter 100, Agency Attendance and Notification to reflect the current practice of the board. I'm happy to go over any changes on this one if you would like.
Motion. Hearing and seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 10, approval of proposed leases.
There are 9 leases in Agenda Item 10 for approval by the board this morning. Are there any questions on any of these items?
Do we have any questions or a motion on item number 10?
None here. I move approval.
We have a motion for approval. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing, seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 11, approval of proposed contracts.
There are 52 contracts in Agenda Item. This would change the project from 17 P08, which is a planning project, to 19 C119, which is a construction project, and changes the funding source from general fund to bond funds. Are there any questions on any of these items?
Do we have any questions on item number 11 or a motion on item number 11?
I have no questions. Move approval.
There's a motion for
I
approval.
I have no questions, Governor.
Okay, we have a motion for approval. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 12, approval of proposed master service agreements.
There are 5 master services agreements under Agenda Item 12 for approval by the board this morning. Are there any questions on any of these items?
Do we have any questions on the master service agreements?
None here.
Do we have a motion on
I have
master-
none.
Do we have a motion?
I move for approval.
We have a motion for approval. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 13 is information only, clerk of the board contracts.
There are 43 contracts under the $50,000 threshold that were approved by the clerk between February 15th, 2020 and March 23rd, 2020. This item is informational only. However, I would note that item 20, which is between the Department of Agriculture and SMG Reno Facilities, has been terminated. And item 36, Division of Forestry and Carson Nugget, this event was canceled. Are there any questions on any items under this agenda item?
Do we have any questions on the clerk of the board contract?
None here.
Nope. Secretary Sagaski?
I have none.
Thank you. Moving on. Public comment. This is the second time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board on any item, please step forward, identify yourself for the board, and comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Hearing and seeing none. We're going to close the public comment. I want to thank everybody for we're in. I appreciate your help and cooperation in staying home for Nevada and practicing good social distancing. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor for adjournment. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Have a great day. We are adjourned.
Thanks. Bye-bye, you too.